Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the FuriBee Bison 150, and I think I'm getting deja vu because a couple of days ago on the channel I reviewed the Armour 220 from Banggood, and this seems to be a miniature version of it. It's a 3-inch model, and something else that's interesting is this came from GearBest. They both have different brand names, so this one FuriBee, this one Aurora RC, but I think they've come from exactly the same team. And again, I think they were going for a mini version of the DarkMax because on the on-screen display, DarkMax is in as the craft name. But anyways, I think the frame is better on this one. It's stronger. When I reviewed this guy, the frame completely bends. That's not the case on the 3-inch model. I do think there have been some really odd choices though with this model. You see, it's a 3-inch, but if we take a look at the motors, they are massive. Now, it's a decent motor. They are DYS motors, but if you take a look, they're an 1806 2300 kV motor. And if we take a step back and look at a model that had 1806 motors on a 3-inch, I think it was the JJ Pro P130, there just wasn't enough RPM there for a 3-inch blade, and I think that's going to be the same case with this one. I think they've just assumed that taking a bigger motor and putting it on a 3-inch frame is going to make it more powerful, but that's not the case. You see, when you go down in prop size, you need to go up in RPM, and these 1806 motors, they're designed more for a 4-inch. In fact, we were running them on 5-inch models not so long ago when everything first started out. So I don't think this is going to be a very powerful model with just 2300 kV. I think if they'd have gone with a 1506 motor like they did on the Geniuser or Geniuser, then it would have been much more of a hit. That being said, it has got this stack in here, and it's the same stack that was in the Geniuser and the same stack that was in the Mini Fight, so I know it's a very good system. So 28 amp 4M1 BL Halley S D-Shot 600 ESCs. It's got an XT30 connector, and then up here it's the Aurora RC F4. It's got Betaflight on-screen display. It's come flash with Betaflight version 3.2, exactly the same version as this guy. So again, I think it's the same team involved there. One thing that is different about this guy is the VTX. If we take a look there, it's actually on the back of this camera here, and it's a CCD camera. I have checked, it's running a 2.1mm lens, so actually the camera in this is better than the camera in this. This is a CMOS camera, which I think is interesting because this one is cheaper. It is still fairly expensive for a 3-inch model. Also, trying to figure out the channels on this VTX is like trying to break the Enigma code. They've given a drawing of it here, and you can't really see the LEDs very well, but you've got a set of yellow LEDs for the channels, so that's just a single press. Then you've got blue LEDs for the bands, and they don't seem to match up to this chart here. And then for the power output, so yeah, even though it's a tiny VTX, it is a switching VTX, 25 milliwatt, 100 milliwatt, 200 milliwatt. You have to press it for 10 seconds, and then it's a combination of the blue and yellow LEDs, and they sort of do this business like that. And so yeah, this is 25 milliwatt, 100 milliwatt, 200 milliwatt. You can kind of get there, but it's a little bit confusing. And interestingly as well, this comes back here to a RPSMA connector. Now, this isn't the antenna that it came with. This is one of them little UXII Luminaire copies. The reason I'm using this is it came with a Pagoda antenna that has no thread on the inside. So I was ages trying to screw this in and it won't. So no thread. Also, you might notice, why is one of the nuts silver and the rest are red? I'm getting incredibly bad luck here because, can you notice, this is the nut that is missing. It has got no machining on it. So I was there with my socket tool, it would not go on, so I've had to borrow this from another one, so some quality control issues there. This is the Bind and Fly edition. It's the Free Sky edition, and it comes with a D8 receiver. It's got quite a long antenna which is just flopping around, so I've added a cable tie and a heat shrink there. And yeah, it's D8, so not D16. I would probably recommend to get a PMP version if you're interested in this, and then add your own receiver, because these D8 receivers, yeah, they don't have great range on them. So because this guy is using motors that are a bit too big for this copter, it's overly heavy for a 3-inch model as well. It's 196 grams without a battery. Using a 850 milliamp 4S, it is 296 grams. In fact, if you use a 650 milliamp battery, you still can't get it under 250 grams. I think it comes in at 269, so it's a little bit too heavy for a 3-inch model. So it does not come with a battery. This is my own battery, but it does come with a battery strap and a silicone mat. You do have to fit that yourself. As I say, it comes with a pagoda antenna, and we've got a spare battery strap in there as well. We've got some spare screws. We have got a spare 4-pin JST 1mm pitch. This is some of the silicone mat that's left over. We've got a spanner as well, and as I say, these are the instructions. You've got a schematic of the flight controller there. There's pretty much no Betaflight setup. It's the same flash of Betaflight that came on the Armor, so you're pretty much going to have to do a full setup on it, and the PIDs are just stock PIDs in there as well. You do get given these nice 3-inch props. They are a Gemfan Flash 3052. You're given 2 sets. This is the black transparent set and also the clear set, which is exactly the same style as you got with the Armor 220. And just like the Armor 220, the frame looks like it has camera protection, but even with this micro in here, it is protruding out the front, so yeah, that's not really protecting anything. Okay, let's see what kind of punch this guy is packing. Already it feels heavy on the throttle. Just to get it to hover, I'm almost at 50%, which is what I suspected it would do, really. Okay, let's try a punch. I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, honestly. But it's no monster, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it feels heavy. But you know, I don't know, maybe it will have a place for some people. I think, you know, it's not so scary for a beginner. But, you know, there's nothing to say that you could limit your throttle on a more powerful model and then you sort of take that off as you get more experience, rather than buying a copter that really, for me, could be much more efficient. But as I say, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm able to do acro with it. And yeah, I'm on about 50% throttle the majority of the time though. But it's actually working better than I thought, actually. Really could do with some different motors though. It's a real interesting choice. I'm not even sure it was a choice. I think perhaps the person who came up with this just thought bigger is better. And it's not always the case. There's a reason why the smaller motors that we put on copters are high in kV, and I think they've missed a trick with this one. That being said, I'm still having fun with it. I am. I thought it was going to be an absolute dud, but it's not. It's taken a lot of power to recover from maneuvers though, and I certainly don't think it's going to be a speed demon. Well, I don't know, maybe there'll be people out there that'll like that. I'm able to do my power loops with it, no issue, so usually a sign it's got enough power. And the tune that I've stuck on here, yeah, very similar to the X140, and it seems to be flying pretty nice. But anyways, I think we've seen what it can do power wise. I mean, the battery's going to be getting low now, so let's flick it into angle mode. I'll just show you once again. Oh, it's not dreadful. It is not dreadful. I'm surprised. I thought it was going to be. But there's some real tough competition in this category. So I think that's why it will struggle. If there was only this available, then I think, you know, people would be happy with it, but there's not. Okay. Well, there doesn't seem to be any drift in angle mode, so that's good. Very stable. Let's bring it in. Okay, let's try some FPV with this guy. Straight away, I can feel on the throttle again, it's needing about 50% to hover. So it's not going to be a fast model. I have been surprised by how good it does perform though. Let's try a straight line speed test. I mean, no, it's no slouch, but you know, when you compare it to the likes of the GTM3 that I was flying the other day, it just doesn't compare. However, it's not scary, and you know, people might like that. So look at the amp draw. You see, it's not too bad on the amps either, because the RPM isn't getting high enough. Yeah, the tune is going to need some work though. So I've put a tune on here myself, but I'm getting some bounce back here. So I think the roll's okay, it's just the pitch. So yeah, giving you my tune for this isn't going to be any good. Now the video is really clear, and you will know I'm a big fan of that, and it's hardly surprising really. This stack in other models didn't produce much noise either. However, this is a different VTX, so it does seem to be working fine. And this is on 25 milliwatt as well, so pretty clear picture for 25 milliwatt. Now you can do all of the usual maneuvers. Going to need a little bit more height though, because it doesn't have as much power, but I think the flight time is going to be pretty nice, you know, because you know, we're at a lower RPM. Essentially it's like limiting your throttle, but because these motors are quite heavy, it is going to be inefficient in that sense. But you know what, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, and it's flying pretty nice. Just give yourself plenty of throttle and you'll be fine. And I think the flight time should be pretty decent as well. But if you're after the fastest 3-inch model, this isn't it. I really do think they should have thought more about the motors, but you know, maybe they intended on it being, you know, this docile. I doubt it, but there you go. It's flying pretty nice, and it just needs work on that pitch there. Can you see it says DarkMax as well? Again, I didn't put that in. It's come with DarkMax written on it, so don't know if they were going for some sort of series with the DarkMax or what, but there you go. But you know what, I like it more than I thought I was going to like it, so it surprised me in that sense. But I do think there are models out there that, you know, are a bit faster, and there's a lot out there in the 3-inch market, so you know, it's got tough competition. I really like the frame though, I have to say, and I like the clean video, and I like how it's performing. You know, we're talking almost a 4-minute flight time on an 850 milliamp battery, and you can just cruise, you see. Just reading 14.4 volts there, and we're coming up to 4 minutes, so yeah, if you want to just cruise around with it, you can, and if you want to do acro with it, you can. So yeah, pleasantly surprised. And yeah, that's my battery, so I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get one, and as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.